to do stand-up. Every time I stand up in the front of a room, like at work or something, somebody always goes, "Stand up!" I hate being short. No, it's not really that. I hate tall people. Tall, they get paid more. Actual published research has shown that tall people get paid more than short people. And the only thing maybe they're slightly better qualified for, really short-term weather forecasting. And no woman has ever said the words, "I really want to meet a short, dark, handsome man." Still, I've been married for 31 years to Mrs. Gage at the back there. I'm just really good at apologising. We've got two grown-up children, 26 and 29. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, we got together when we were 12. But you look like a really happy bunch. You look like happy people. You particularly look very happy, don't you? Nice if we're in. I kind of want to know what's behind that. But you look really happy. And I'd like to talk a bit about happiness tonight, and a couple of things that make me really happy. My old psychology lecturer, a bloke called Michael Argyle, said that the happiest people, scientifically, are people who are active members of a religion or people who do team sport. So that's why, at the age of 35, as a miserable atheist, I decided to take up rugby. Now, it could have been worse. Other people my age, other men my age, were getting their hair bleached, wearing leather trousers, and having piercings in unspeakable places. Places like Bognor. But so this was part of my midlife crisis, I suppose. And I think that midlife crisis, I've got a theory about midlife crisis. I think we haven't evolved to live this long. We're not meant to still be hanging on. And I think a midlife crisis is our body's way of saying, hold on a minute, we're still here. Let's see if we can bring this to an end by getting them to do something really stupid and dangerous. Like buying a ridiculous motorbike, or sailing around the world in a teapot, or playing rugby. And so this is how I ended up going to Warlingham Rugby Club on a Tuesday evening, at the beginning of the season, to join training. And it was already dark by the time I got there, and there was only one other person around. It was just this sort of uncommunicative teenager lurking. And this is in Croydon, so the only other time a middle-aged bloke and a hoodie-wearing teenager are interacting socially, one of us is being mugged. But Simon turned out to be, this the young man there, who turned out to be lovely, and he showed me where to go and change, told me what was going on, told me where to stand on the pitch. Just was really helpful. Less of a mugger, more of a carer. It was lovely, and then I kind of discovered the thing about the difference between adult sport and child sport. Like when you're a kid at school, if you're rubbish at sport, everyone is just horrible and cruel to you until you go away. If you do sport as a grown-up, people are just pathetically grateful you've turned up. The third 15 captain was so pleased to see me. He came up and said, "Right, I want you to be my hooker." Now that doesn't mean he wanted to pay me for sex, which is a shame really, because I had a library fine to pay. Instead he wanted me to spend my rugby career in the front row of the scrum, in between two of the largest and ugliest people you can imagine. I say ugly, imagine if you will the love child of Anne Widdecombe and Donald Trump. What's that kind of ugly? You'd be somewhere close. But it turns out that being a hooker, was a pretty good job for me, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And what I had two very simple jobs to do. I had to hook the ball back in the scrum, and throw the ball in at the line out. And the rest of the time, I could just bumble around, kind of just sort of leave everything to everyone else, take no responsibility for anything, just kind of amble around, looking stupid, a bit like Boris Johnson. But the first game I had was against Mitcham. I don't know if anyone knows Mitcham. It's a bit, if you don't know, it's a bit like Croydon, only without the cosmopolitan sophistication. Mitcham, they've renamed their side Mitcham and Carshalton now. Carshalton is a lovely commuter suburb with mock Tudor houses and lovely grass verges. Doctors and lawyers live there. Mitcham Rugby Club play on a public recreation ground, and more often than not, when you turn up to the pitch, in the middle of the pitch there'd be a burnt-out car. But that wasn't what was worrying me about playing against Mitcham. Well, the main problem was I didn't really know any of the rules or laws. As rugby pedants will always tell you, we have laws, not rules. I don't know what the difference is. I looked it up. It seems that laws are made up by lawyers, so they're just like rules, only more expensive. But it turns out there's a law about when you're on the ground on a rugby pitch, you're not allowed to touch the ball with your hand. I didn't know this. I hadn't read the rules, but I learnt it against this game against Mitcham because I'm lying on the floor in a sort of heap of bodies, and I can see the ball there, and I think, if my side are back that way, if I just sort of nudge it back to them with my hand, that would be a good idea. Big mistake. The next thing I heard is a Mitcham player shouting, "Stamp on his fucking hand!" And then the crunch of studs in between knuckles. So it wasn't really a law or a rule, it was a South London commandment. But I survived and played rugby for years and wrote a book about it called My Life as a Hooker. We had to change the title to the second edition of the book because Google searching for it was leading people into some very dark places. It broke up marriages, and but on the good side, there's now a Filipino prostitute who won the Booker Prize. He's got a copy. But you can buy a copy of the book from Mrs. Gage at the back there in the interval if you like. But the basic upshot of it is I became captain of the 4th 15 at Wallingham, and we were officially the 3rd worst side in Surrey. And after my reign of running the side, we rose to the dizzy heights of, spoiler alert here, the 4th worst side in Surrey. So, and it was something that made me enormously happy, and we've had many happy years playing rugby. And the other thing that I want to talk about that's made me really happy is just a few months ago, me and Mrs. Gage became grandparents. Our daughter had a little baby girl, and it is just brilliant. And I've been having to make some lifestyle changes, becoming a grandparent. Got a granddad shirt, do you want to see? I've got a lifetime supply of Werther's Originals. Pass it around. There you go. And the other thing also, I developed mild incontinence. Apparently that comes with the job. I also bought a VW camper van. As a sort of, retired thing, got a lovely camper van. Turns out that was quite a smart investment. Since we bought it, it's doubled in value. Mostly because it's got a full tank of petrol. But I've been trying to pull my weight as a granddad, trying to help out, do my bit. Today I was given sole responsibility for my granddaughter, and I'm proud to announce that for the first time in 25 years I changed a nappy. It wasn't too bad, to be honest, it was fine. As I say, I'm only become mildly incontinent. The lovely thing about having a granddaughter is you've got a new member of the tribe. It's like a new human being to make friends with, form alliances with, which is just brilliant. Especially if you've fallen out with all your relatives. The magical thing though, she just makes you smile from ear to ear. It's addictive. And you just want more and more time with your granddaughter. It's like crystal meth for wrinklies. It's even more fun than sex on a Stanner stairlift. It's a marvellous thing, but we've just got to get our dose of GDT, of granddaughter time. And so our daughter, or rather our dealer, who's got us addicted to this granddaughter time, she knows it's payback time now, and she can milk it for all it's worth because we are so desperate to get granddaughter time. So she has got us, basically as her domestic slave, cleaning the toilet, redecorating the house, visiting any of people who might have disrespected her and kneecapping them. I get to do that job with my head. And then when you get your 5 minutes of granddaughter time, we'll do anything for her. When you get that time, you have got to be on your A game. Because I have to tell you, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a secret war between grandparents as to who can be the favourite grandparent. It's who's got the skills. It's like Fight Club. No one talks about it, but we all know what's going on. It's who's got the skills. We're watching each other. Who's got the skills? Who can settle a crying baby quickest? Who can make the baby laugh first? Who can change a nappy without getting peed on? There is no better feeling. If you are the only person who can settle a crying baby, it's like you can keep all your recreational drugs, it's fine. There's nothing better than grandparent smug. And I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to get the favourite grandparent status. I've learned all the songs, I'm prepared to humiliate myself. 5 little speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. They love that shit. And then you've got to compete for your grandparent name, whether you're going to be a grandma or a nana, a granddad or a gramps. You've got to fight for it. Mrs. Gage is going for Granny Sue, she's angling to get that. I'm thinking with the camper van, I could be Grandpa Van. It's all about the branding. You've got to get it right to win the favourite grandparent status. I'm fairly convinced we can do it. Me and my granddaughter have got loads of things in common. We're both in the bottom 10th percentile for height. Neither of us have got our own full set of teeth. And we're neither of us entirely sure when we've just done a wee. So I think I can win this, I think I can get it, but if not, I can always drop kick her back to her mum. Thank you very much.
Gage! You can actually buy a copy of his book in the interval after the show.